Okay. Hello, hello. Just want to make sure that we are live. All right. So, hello, my name is Lisa Callahan. I am the founder here of the Women's Emotional Eating Community Support Group. And I'm bringing you an amazing topic today that is all about food having control of you, or about you feeling like food has control over you, and ways that you can stop that thought. So I know from the decades that I was struggling with an emotional eating habit, I really thought that if I didn't control every last morsel that passed over my lips, I was really thinking that this was going to make me eat like, a kid in a candy store. Like that I would never, ever, ever be able to just trust myself around food, be able to eat, just because I was hungry, and be able to feel good in my own skin. I never thought that this was possible. So in my mind, I thought that if I didn't control every last morsel that passed through my lips, which meant that I, had to keep track of everything that I was eating. So if I had, put 2 grapes in my mouth, I had to run to my fitness pal and write it down. If I had like a specific shake thing, then I could, log my calories and I could know exactly what I was eating. So I felt like if I had the, the desire or the discipline to write everything down that I was eating, then I would be able to control it. I even wrote down at night, different things that I did good for myself that day and different things that I did bad for myself that day. And I would think and think and think all the time about every little bite that I was putting into my mouth. So even when I journaled at night, I got to give myself a pretty healthy dose of beat up for the 5 Hershey Kisses and the 10 cookies that I ate and the, whatever. And then I could kind of pat myself on the back for the, the 2 shakes and the piece of chicken and the salad that I ate. And so I had this really unbelievable amount of energy going into controlling everything that I ate. And I know that when I work with the clients that I work with in Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System, I know that this is what you ladies are struggling with as well. So you can't do any better if you don't know any better, and that's the case. And for decades, I didn't know any better either, so I wasn't able to change my way of thinking. But once I was able to figure out why this was happening over and over and over again, I was able to really get a different sense of what that word control means. And then I was able to really look at it from this wider lens and realize that the amount of energy that I was wasting writing everything down and journaling this, and I promise you that if you think back, how many times have you kept a food diary? How many times have you done an app tracker? How many times have you counted points on Weight Watchers? How many times have you opened a menu and seen the calories and been like, oh no, I can't eat that. I'll have to eat this. Instead of just ordering what the heck you want and eating whatever feels okay to you and then stopping eating. Right? Nobody ever has thought about that before, but that's a thing. I promise you. I eat whatever I want now. I never look at anything, and in fact, if the calories are on the side, I don't even look at them. What's the difference? Who cares? I know what I want to eat. I know what I want to put in my body, so I'm not sneaking into the gas station anymore and 10 p.m. Telling myself that I'm going to go fill up my tank and buying 3 Reese's peanut butter cups and eating them in my car and then throwing away the wrappers. I'm not doing that. So I don't have to pay attention to anything. I don't have to count calories. I don't have to do any of that. So guess what? I have time for other things. And I know that this sounds unreasonable, right? Because how could you ever? You've been counting calories for your whole entire life, right? I get it. Me too. But now I don't have to do that anymore. So if I'm out to breakfast and I see that there's a skillet with hash browns and maybe eggs or something, and I see that it says 12,000 calories on it, I don't care. I'll just get it. I'll eat what I want and then I'll push the rest aside. I don't have a food issue anymore, and I used to. So I understand where this might feel like you have to control everything and you've got to write down your calories and you got to know exactly what you're doing, but you don't. So in Crush That Food Thing Self-Discovery System, we have a story that we teach you. And this story is something that I'm only sharing with you because I want to give you an introduction to what self-discovery is all about. Self-discovery is really you being able to take a journey for yourself, something where nobody else tells you what to do. You learn about yourself. You know yourself. You understand yourself on a deeper level, and you get the reasons why you're doing things. See, before, I used to do things because I was after guilt. Guilt sat deep in my roots, and because guilt sat deep in my roots, it was a really, really easy way to get guilt if I punished myself by not ordering the thing that I wanted to order and then snuck off by myself alone later and ate all the things in private. Nobody could see me but me, and that made me feel pretty guilty. So it's really interesting when you think you're doing all these amazing things to, keep track and count your calories and do all that stuff. But what you're really doing is you're hiding from the roots and you're trying to push them aside. But those roots, they're growing. And until we address the root cause of the problem, they will keep growing. So all the little tricks and tips and stuff that you might get from the dieting magazines or the other Facebook communities that you might be in where, they tell you exactly what to do and how to eat and all that stuff, if the roots are there, you will not be able to get away from them until you decide to look inside. So this story that I'm going to share with you right now, it's called the Sidewalk Story. It allows you to get aware, really, and that's really what self-discovery is about. It's awareness. So if you're unaware that there are roots to begin with, or your intuition tells you that there are roots, but you want nothing to do with them because you're like, I'm not going to look at those roots, good luck. Not going to work. It's not the roots that are so scary, really. It's your inability to want to look at them. That's actually more scary, really. And so I get a lot of people that come to me and they're like, Lisa, I'm not digging up the skeletons in the closet. I'm not looking at the roots. And I'm like, okay, no problem. It's not a big deal. We'll just kind of see what comes up. And then when it's time to address these other issues, we'll address them. But it's always done in a very subtle way. Self-discovery allows you to get in tune with yourself and just get to a level of awareness that you might not have ever been able to get to before. So here's our story. Ready? Chapter 1. I walk down a street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes me forever to find my way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. Can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It takes me forever to get my way out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are wide open now. I know where I am. It is my fault, and I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5, I walk down another street. Now it's interesting because a lot of the gals that first start to work with me, they think that this story means that they fell off their diet. That is not what this story means at all. What this story really allows you to do is it allows you to see where the feelings that live in the bottom of that sidewalk hole are there. And they're strong, and they're healthy, and they want you there with them in the sidewalk hole. So for me, the feelings were shame, guilt, blame, regret. I was very angry, actually. I was really angry, but I didn't really know I was angry, so I protected my anger with positivity. I was like, nothing to see here. I'm happy as a lark. But underneath, I really wanted to be angry, but I didn't know how, because back when anger was part of my little girl world, I didn't know how to be angry. I wasn't capable at that time. So I just turned that anger inward, and I did a lot of things that made me angry at myself. And so in that sidewalk hole was anger and shame and guilt and blame and regret and all of these yucky feelings. Well, I didn't realize that part of my way of getting to those yucky feelings was to eat an entire box of cookies, to go on a diet for a long time. I was on diet I was on a diet for 2 years once. I never ate in a restaurant. I did not have one sip of alcohol. I never ate any sugar, ever. And I mean for 2 years, strict. And I remember when I broke it, I could not stop eating. I was just like, rah. I had M&Ms, and I must have had 4 of those big packages of like peanut M&Ms. It was like I was a bottomless pit. I talk about no control. I had nothing. And it's interesting because it was literally like the floodgates were open. So in my mind, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to get control of myself again. Not true. It was just that the roots were hungry. They needed to be fed. And the roots were all of those feelings. And so you can imagine how angry I was at myself after that for breaking that diet. I was angry. And so in the roots, they were like, yay, the roots were happy. Now, when I finally started to recognize this, and I recognized as I started to reach for the thing that was going to make me feel angry at myself, that was going to make me feel guilty, that was going to make me feel shamed, and that was going to make me regret my decision, as I was reaching for it, when I started to become aware of the sidewalk hole, as I started reaching for it, something inside of me lit up, and I said, whoa, wait a minute, Lisa, why do you want to be angry with yourself right now? And I was like, I didn't even know what to do. This is self-discovery. Because I was already learning new things about myself. I was already in self-discovery. I started to put the pieces of the puzzle together when I started to recognize that I was feeling pretty good about myself. I was actually, learning new things. I was realizing that I had negative self-talk going on. I was realizing that there was places in my life that I had to forgive myself for things. I realized that I had to forgive other people for things. There was things. But then it always brought me back to that same place when I had the eating thing. And so I started to realize it. I was like, wait a minute. I'm down in this hole because I put myself there. And I'm doing that because I'm angry at myself. And I'm angry at the way things turned out. And I'm angry at just the things that I chose to do in my life. And so that food kept me angry with myself. And once I realized that, and I got to the chapter 3, which I'll just read that part again. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are wide open now. I know where I am. It is my fault, and I get out immediately. And the way that I got out of this for the very first time, I had to practice this over and over again because it was a habit. But the way I started getting out of it was I started to say to myself as I was grabbing for something, why do I want to be angry right now? I thought I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be angry. I don't want to feel guilty. I don't want to have regret. And I definitely want to have a new relationship with myself. And so now I had to practice. I had to change my habits. Habits are created through repetition. They are changed through repetition as well. And so until you understand why that habit is there, and until you understand what the roots are wanting, what are you feeding? Until you understand that, you won't be able to see it. You will keep falling down that sidewalk hole over and over and over again, and you won't know it's there. And then every time you're going to be like, how did I do this? How did this happen to me? And then eventually, as you work through self-discovery, you will start to see, wait a minute, this isn't happening to me. This is happening for me. And the reason why it's happening for me is because there's a lesson in it for me. I am strong. I am capable. I am forgiving. I am full of love. I am full of kindness. I am full of compassion. I am full of gratitude. Nothing's down in the hole that ever says anything about love, compassion, kindness, and gratitude. Trust me. Down in the hole is other stuff. Now, all feelings are meant to be felt. But the feelings down in that hole, they're not meant to be felt. They're meant to hurt. They are meant to hit you over the head with a rock and the rock kind of moves aside after you fall on top of it and you crack your head, and then the rock's pushed aside, and underneath the rock is all these yuckies, these just bleh. And then you gotta numb it out, and you use food to do that, and then it starts all over again. And you never learn how to walk down another street. See, now I'm on another street, so that's why I don't have to pay attention to my food anymore, because I have other things that are important to me. Back then, I wasn't important to me. I didn't even know it. And so back then, I had to stay on the diets. I had to control everything. I had to write everything down and make certain that I was able to then fall into that sidewalk hole, right? And so all of those things were actually the setup. They were literally like the booby trap that just was the repeat habit that got me to fall down that hole. Chapters 1 and 2. Not my fault. I don't know what happened. I had the food in my house. I can't control myself. I can't trust myself. This was the tape that was running in the back of my head. Do you have that tape too? Because if you do, there's no shut off on that tape. What we are able to do though is we are able to change the response to ourselves when that tape starts playing, right? Because if we can no longer change the circumstances, like we're not going to change the world. The world is not going to stop having M&Ms in candy stores and stores that are called sugar, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to stop. You cannot control this, period, end of story. What you can do though is you can change your response to yourself. Because when you start to recognize that when you fall down in that hole, that is you, and you are doing that to yourself. Now that's a habit, and if you have a habit of hurting yourself, then I really, really recommend that you learn why. Why do you have it? Why do you have a habit of hurting yourself? I know why I did. Do you know why you did? So really think about that, and let's get clarity, and let's get some conversation going about this. Self-discovery is just curiosity. It's just getting to understand you at a deeper level. That's all it is. It's not deep therapy. It's just clarity, really. And so think about this now. If you are feeling like you have to control every morsel that passes through your lips, or you're going to lose all control, the way to stop is to get curious. It's just to ask questions, just to figure yourself out on a deeper level. Understanding that you have a past, and there's a reason why you have a past. We can take our past and be able to turn it into our purpose. And that's what I did. That's why I'm here, right? I am educated in nutrition, and I am educated as a health coach and a motivational coach, and I've been a personal trainer since I'm 19 years old, so for over 30 years. But at the same time, while I was doing all of that, while I was a personal trainer, while I was a nutritionist, while I was helping, I wasn't a nutritionist, I worked with people with food, with eating, with diets and stuff. I did this for decades of my life. And while I was doing that, while I was telling them all what to do, I wasn't doing it myself. And I had to be able to explore the reasons, because if I continued to use food to betray myself, well, then I was just going to stay stuck. So are you stuck, and would you like help? All right, that is it for today. Please leave me comments in this particular training. I would really like to know what you think, and I'd really like to know if you are feeling like you're ready to explore yourself on a deeper level. If you feel like self-discovery is something that you might like to explore, please leave me a comment and I'll make certain I reach out. There's also a form that you can fill out that is on this video where you can request a copy of this particular training or any other training that I do, and we will chat again soon. Bye for now.